Are you looking for a rental property in Manchester? So was I about a year and a half ago, and since then I have had 3 rental properties within the city centre. I absolutely love it. It's a great place to be, and I moved from a place called Luton. Don't know if you know it, but moving up north has been great. I thought I'd share my tips on moving up to Manchester. And it's a very difficult time to get a place right now because there's so many people renting and things like that. I'm just going to put some places on screen right now of the best locations or some potential locations that you could move to within the city. And I'll also include a few others as well that are kind of around the area. Cheaper options, but still close enough to the city to be able to commute in and things like that. Tip number 1 is going to be go and view your property. Now, this is such a simple and basic tip. You might think I'd never go to a property without viewing it, and this is pretty standard practice, but so many people these days don't even view the property. They just send it, think, oh, the pictures looks good, it's ticking a few boxes, it's in a great location, maybe it has parking, let's just send it. And the thing is about pictures these days is you never really know. If you go and do a viewing, it's going to give you a vibe of the location, spot any things that the pictures are going to miss on purpose, like scratches, mold, all of this gross stuff. Yeah, just go and view your property. I actually, when I first moved here, I was moving in with 2 friends and I didn't get a chance to view the property. It wasn't like the pictures, that's all I need to say. And it ended up being a whole load of problems with this place. We didn't have heating for like the majority of the winter. The letting agents weren't really communicating at all. And even still, they took money off our deposit in the end for a professional clean when, god damn it, we left that place cleaner than we got it. So yeah, just go and view the property, basically. Tip number 2, this is a very grueling process, so you have to be persistent. This process is grueling. It's almost like applying for a job. You get ignored, you just don't get through to people, you get rejected. Just become one with the rejection and just trust the process. If you see a property you like, straight away phone them to put a viewing in. I'd recommend emailing as well, and you might not just want to email the email listed, you might want to find out the letting agents and get an email contact from there as well and email them directly. If you can't get through to them, obviously leave a message, and your last port of call is obviously going to be going into the letting agents themselves and just speaking to them. If you don't live in Manchester or you're moving here for the first time, this might not be possible for you, but in my experience, that's the best way to get through to these letting agents, is just going in there and speaking to them face to face, because we got ignored so many times. And a lot of time you might get a viewing and you have it booked for like, I don't know, Tuesday morning, and they'll phone you up and be like, oh, sorry, it's been filled, before you've even got the chance to view it. And that happens very often. So be persistent and yeah, just stick to it. Which takes me on to tip number 3. And I've forgotten what tip number 3 is. So, okay, tip number 3. So tip number 3 is ask questions. When you've actually got to the viewing itself, this letting agent's probably showing around, I don't know, 10 plus people in a day. That happened often to us. We get there last one of the day, say we've just finished work and we went to view the property after work, and we get there and we say, oh, how many people have viewed this property today? And they say, oh, you're the 12th person and it's in a great location for a great price. And a lot of letting agents will tell you, oh no, we give everyone a chance to their fair share to make an offer. In my opinion, I don't even know if that's true. It seemed like we didn't even have a chance before we got there. If you can, I'd recommend trying to get a viewing earlier on in the day. But when you do get the viewing, the main thing is ask questions. What appliances come with the flat? Is there parking included, if that's something you need? Big one for me as well was, is the internet good? I work from home, so internet is a very important thing for me, especially internet speed. And there's a lot of checkers and things like that. So if you have a property in mind, go on a comparison website and check what the internet speeds are for the property. There's nothing worse than signing up for a flat and finding out that they've got awful internet speeds. Whatever you do, do not assume because you're in a city the internet's going to be good, because that is what I did. I was literally in pretty much near Piccadilly, which is one of the most central locations in Manchester, and the internet was absolutely awful, and yeah, it was just a nightmare. So don't be like me, don't put yourself in that situation. Oh yeah, another question you might want to ask is what is the council tax band, which it really does make a difference depending on the area you're in, how much you're going to be paying monthly. So yeah, it's definitely something to consider. Check your council tax. I'll be sure to leave a link below for the council tax bands. Moving on to tip number 4. Now, tip number 4 is just going to be about the length of the tenancy. If you go for a longer tenancy, obviously you're going to be a more favourable candidate. Now, I didn't know this moving in personally, but looking back, it's very obvious to me why this is the case. My first 2 rental properties in Manchester were both 6-month tenancies. One went into a rolling contract, so it ended up being about 8 months. And the property I'm in right now is a 12-month tenancy. When we were finding this place at our last search, we found the 12-month tenancy agreement. You were just getting snapped up by other people who were offering to do 12 months. So it does really put you ahead of the rest if you offer to do a longer tenancy. Maybe that doesn't make sense for what your needs are at the time, but it is definitely going to make a massive difference in the long run. Or the short run if you're doing a 6 months. A few other things that might set you ahead of other people when you're going for a rental property is 1, like we said, the length of the tenancy. 2, is going to be if you offer higher rent than others. Now, I know that sounds dramatic, but it doesn't have to be 50 quid or 100 quid extra a month. Say if you were going for a place that was, I don't know, 1100, you offer 1105, 1110, but it is going to set you ahead of the other people because they might not even think to do that, but it's something that people do these days, unfortunately. Another one is going to be, now this is something that I would never do personally, but if you are a little bit of a baller, if you pay some rent in advance, that is going to put you ahead as well. I've never really been in the position to be able to do that, but if you can do that, that's great. Great for you. And 4th on this tip is going to be landlords like couples. So if you are in a couple, you're probably more likely to get into a place. It really just depends. Renting tip number 4, you're on your viewing again, you're asking questions, whatever, but make sure you keep it nice with the letting agents because you want them to like you. They might turn up late, right, which happens quite often. They might forget your name. They've probably been ignoring your calls. You finally get to the viewing. Whatever you do, just keep you cool and be nice. Just chat to them, really. The reason I say this as a tip is because when I went for this place, we kind of been going through it with the rental process. And in the viewing for this place, I just kind of explained our situation and said, like, look, we've been having some trouble. Every place we go for, there's so many different people trying to put in offers and things like that. And I kind of just spoke to the letting agent on a level. Who knows why, but they chose us. I must have chat his absolute ear off that day, but it works. We're in the property. Renting tip number 6. Take pictures, lots and lots of pictures, or even videos if you want. A lot of places, they'll send you, every place will send you an inventory which basically states like any issues with the flat, kind of what appliances come with it and all this kind of thing. A lot of places will deliberately miss stains, marks, anything along these lines. Makes it look bad basically. Both places that I lived before this tried to charge us for things that were there when we moved into the property, and I've heard loads of horror stories of people being charged ridiculous amounts of money for things they didn't even do, but because they didn't have any pictures, they had no proof to say that it wasn't them. So just be extra with the pictures. Any little thing around the flat that you think you could potentially be charged for, when you move in, take a picture of it and make sure there's an email chain with all these pictures in, just to, better safe than sorry, basically. My last place, when we first moved in, there was Spider-Man boxes in the drawer. I just thought, gross, chuck them out, but I didn't take a picture of it, so I couldn't prove that. So when it came to moving out of the property and they charged us £350 for a professional clean, even though we spent hours cleaning it and left it in a better state than when we moved into the property, I couldn't prove that it was such a state when we moved in because I didn't send the pictures. You live and learn. And they also charged us 120 quid to remove a desk. Could have put it on Facebook Marketplace. Gutted. Tip number 7 is going to be the final tip, and that is if you are living with flatmates, do not be the person that does every single bill. Spread the load of bills between you. So maybe one person does council tax, one person does, I don't know, someone else. It really depends on how many people you're living with, because if there's only 2 of you, you're gonna have to just try and spread it evenly between 2 of you. The first 2 places I lived with 2 other flatmates, so we kind of just did a little bit in between. Another good thing I'd recommend getting if you are living with flatmates is Splitwise. It's basically an app that you can take pictures of your bills and put them all on there, and it kind of just calculates the who owes what. So if someone's paid a little bit more, then you'll send them a bit more money that month. Vice versa, what comes around goes around. So yeah, I'll put that link in the description as well. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to include a load of links down below. How to work out your council tax ban for a specific address. Obviously, if you're working out the speed of the internet and things like that, just go on some comparison websites. The 2 main search things is going to be Rightmove and Zoopla for finding your properties. And also, if you're looking to find a flatmate, and one of the most popular things to use, I didn't use this personally, but I know people who have used it, is spareroom.com. So people can advertise if they're looking for a room or if they have a room spare. And there's you can build a whole profile and things like that, because it can be kind of very difficult to live alone. I've never lived alone since I moved to the city because it's expensive to rent by yourself, a lot of money down the drain. So I definitely recommend getting a flatmate. And it's fun living with people, you know, as long as they're not weird. Yeah, so all links down below. Hope this was helpful, and adios.